Average women do not date average men. Please make this make sense. Average women do not date average men. How can you be an average woman and not date an average man? Like, why can't you stay in your threshold? That's why it's a hard life for average men, because they can't find women that are on their level, because they want to go with a guy who's better looking, is more successful, has more things going on in his social life. How are you meant to win as a man? How are you actually meant to win as a man? It's like the other week, Lizzo, someone was saying that Lizzo only dates high value men, good looking men, but it's like, on a looks point of view, she's average. Not to diss her in any shape or form, I feel like she's a beautiful person and sounds like she has a great personality and a very, very good musician and artist, by the way, very talented. But from a looks point of view, high value men, I know this for a fact, high value men, even average men, would tend not to go with someone who looks that way. I'm just saying, that's the harsh reality. So why do the modern women think, I'm average, I expect high value status, I need a guy that's earning over 6 figures a year, I need a guy who's rich, I need this, I need that. But you're average. What makes you stand out from the rest of all the high value women, all the models, the women that work for Vogue, Chanel, catwalkers? Like, what do you really think that they're gonna pick you over them, over 8s, 9s and 10s? Do you really think they'd rather pick the average woman over a supermodel? Because you see high value men picking supermodels, models, strippers, all these things, because they look good. And you know, when women come out and say, oh, it's not all about looks, you know, well, it is. From a man's perspective, it really is. You know, we like a woman that works out. We like a woman that keeps in shape and looks good. Because when you bring her out to social events and you go out, other men will look at it and be like, wow, like, that's your girl. That's how other men look at it. They're not interested about your education. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to have a girl who has an education and is switched on up in here, but that's not the be all end all. Whereas with the men, you may not be a very good looking guy, but if you're rich, you're getting every single girl in the club or every single girl in the bar. It's as simple as that. But I don't understand how you can be average and expect high results, high level results. It makes no sense. No sense.
Okay, why do you think women have an overinflated sense of ego?
I think we can't.
Excuses.
Yeah, I feel like being a really objective is very difficult. So if you are like not conventionally attractive, you either have to come to terms with that and accept that maybe you're.
Why do we say not conventionally attractive? Can we just say ugly?
That wants to be real today.
I'm just like,
No, you're not allowed to say that.
Why do we use words where like they just mean like it's the same thing but less direct?
But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
ugly. So
saying.
you're ugly.
Okay, so if you're ugly, I guess that's very hard to come to terms with. And I feel like if I thought I was ugly, I'd be like, I'm gonna make a delusion. I'm gonna make a reality that doesn't exist. Because if you think you're ugly every day, I don't think you'll be very happy.
But wouldn't it be better to like know you're ugly and be like, you know, I'm gonna find an ugly man and be happy?
Boom.
Rather than Lizzo, where she's like,
No, but like
she doesn't realize she's ugly. And so now she's with a dude
This is what
that's
I'm
like
saying.
clearly with her for the money. I mean,
What did I just say about Lizzo, bro? Don't get, and this is the thing. I don't know why people get offended by it, saying, "Oh, you can't say." Don't get me wrong. The word ugly sounds. Even the sound of the word ugly doesn't sound good, but that is pretty much what you're saying. Or average. Why do people think that average is bad? It's not bad. It's just the norm. It's like, for example, a mid 20-year-olds. Let's just say you're 25. I bet you guys don't know what what bracket of financial gain or finances you have to have on a yearly, like a yearly salary, what to be in the top 1% of earners as a 25-year-old, do you know how much you have to be earning every single year? £80,000 a year. I don't know what it's like in America. I think it may be roughly the same thing, but to be in the top 1% of financial earners at that age, you have to be earning over £80,000. And then all the rest of the guys are average earners. But then why the people? I don't understand why average. Even middle class. When you say someone's middle class, I saw a woman on here the other week, and someone said that your family's middle class, and they would go, yeah, but they earn good money. It's like, what? Middle class earners do earn good money. Who's saying it's bad? Who's saying average is bad? That is just the bracket you're under. It doesn't mean it's good or bad. It doesn't mean it's bad. This is what some of these women, especially, they think average is bad. But then they want high outcomes. But how can you expect high outcomes when you're not on that level?
Come on.
That's the problem in society. Like average women don't want to date average men.
You think so?
Average women do not want to date average men.
I want to agree with you, but I can't, because I see so many women dating bums and so many women that are dating like you just look at the woman and you're like, wow, she's like a 10 out of 10. She's beautiful. She's got everything going for her.
The problem is that you lie, so you're not honest about how girls look. So
I didn't say I gave her a rating of a 5.
Yeah, that's
but the girls that are with the bums, like, they're usually average. Because if they're above average, they would get an above average guy. But
you would think that
women are insecure.
No, I don't think so. I think women think they're hotter than they are most of the time. And usually, if it is a bum, he knows how to talk and he's good looking. Like, girls don't date ugly bums. If he's a bum, he's hot.
Have you seen like?
And he's usually hotter than her.
Have you seen Angelina Jolie? I don't know who she was dating, but I just didn't find the
director.
I don't know who it was.
She's 40 with 6 kids.
No. This was when she was like young, and I just looked at the guy and I was like, they're together.
Bob's
I don't remember who it was, but like I found that like.
Did he have money?
Angelina, she has money. She's rich.
But men don't care about a girl's money. But did the guy have money?
I have no idea who he is.
Yeah,
because from a hypergamy standpoint, that makes sense. So from a hypergamy standpoint, he's still ticked by.
But like, she wouldn't need that money from him.
Yeah, it's okay.
So.
That's why she left him and got Brad Pitt. So yeah, she got money and looks. Like, that's what women do.
I don't know. When going for a guy, you're gonna go for the one that's someone you can sense can kind of take the lead, even if he's not so much good looking.
If a leader,
yeah, like if it's someone that you can be submissive with, and he's gonna be the dominant one, then
if he can take on that role,
because women, it's like what he said. Like, women fall in love with what they hear.
Yeah, so that position that he plays, the leadership, for her, and how he makes her feel. Obviously, us women, we're like I'll be your pretty thing. I have all the looks. Don't worry. You just do everything else. That's it.
Tell him again.
But what if you don't?
Or if you don't, leave
the woman.
No, like, let's say hypothetical scenario. If we're talking about people that are being ugly, what do they do then?
They date each other.
Literally,
the problem is
literally
women only swipe right on dating apps 5 to 20 on the high end % of the time, where men swipe right 50% of the time.
Yeah.
So it's a very small percentage of men that are having sex with everybody. And so the guys that are 8s, 9s, and 10s are sleeping with the 4s, 5s, and 6s, and the average girls think they're on that level, but they're not.
You're not.
They think they're hotter than they are.
And that's facts.
So then when they get their husband, the guy that would actually take them seriously, they think they're settling but that's really just the guy on
the... I'm saying, man, you can't get sex mixed up with love, marriage, all these valuable things. Like, and you know, average looking women, just because you've slept with a guy that's good looking doesn't mean you're on that level. Sex is sex at the end of the day. It doesn't mean it's I mean, if you're just having sex and you're going around having one night stands, you're single, you're doing this, you can't then automatically think you're on that same bracket of men. Like, you're not. You're literally not. Like, rich guys with money, they do it all the time. That's why most of them aren't even wifed up. They don't want any fallbacks. They don't want they don't want to be looking after someone else's kids and all these things. Like, they don't want baggage. So if they do sleep with you, don't think then you're automatically put on that same level. Sex is sex at the end of the day. Yeah, it may be an emotional thing for women at the time, but men don't always think like that. They do not think like that, especially single men that a high value, they're not thinking, oh, I'm in love with you. No, it's sex. It's literally it.
Their level, but they've been sleeping too high.
But I think that comes from the fact that a lot of women are born with value whilst men have to create their value.
Yeah.
So with women, you're always afforded a seat at the sexual marketplace, which means that you're going to get a 10-looking guy who just wants to have quick sex, and you're going to seek to validate yourself by getting an attractive guy. So you're going to give that guy quick sex, but then you now think that I'm on that same level as that guy.
You're not.
Because you're afforded a seat at the sexual marketplace.
I get what you mean by, like, I don't know, like having that advantage of having the privilege, like when you want to find like casual sex, like women do have that. But I don't think women are that naive to think that they can have casual sex with a guy that guy would have a relationship with me. Some women,
are you really? Are you being serious?
I'll give you an.
She doesn't go out. Are you serious? You're telling me, you really think? Wow, where's she been? How many average women think that they can end up in a relationship with a high value guy and it never ends up happening? I see it all the time. I see it on social media. Women getting emotional and upset. They sleep with these guys and then they're like, oh, he played me, he this, he that. Well, that was naive of you to think that, because sex is sex at the end of the day. Men initiate relationships. That's why I always say that as a woman or as a man as well, you need to be responsible for your own actions and be aware of what you're getting yourself into. You can't just put all the blame on the men and say, oh, men are players, men are this, men are that. Well, if you were a good judge of character, you would have realised before you even slept with him that that's all he wanted. Because if a man wanted a relationship with you or a committed relationship with you, most men don't really want to. I mean, they do want to have sex, but they know from a respective point that in order to gain that woman's trust, you have to go on a few dates. You need to kind of wine and dine her first. You kind of need to see what she's about, who she is, what she wants, what's her ambitions, does she want children? Then you end up having sex. I mean, most men, that's how they go about it. Men that just want sex, they're not talking about any of that stuff, commitment and what you want, and they don't care. They just want sex. So if the guy is just sleeping with you and he doesn't even know your last name, then that's your problem. That's your fault. You shouldn't be letting him have sex with you, man. If you're that sacred, you shouldn't even be going nowhere near him.
On the last show, I said, or it was a show or two ago, I asked the guys, like, have you ever slept with a girl that you'd never be seen in public with? A bunch said yes. And then I was like,
of course.
And I was like, okay, how long did you let that go on? And some of them said like 5-6 months.
Yeah.
And so that girl like may think it's going somewhere, but it's going nowhere.
Yeah,
and like they're they're low key embarrassed. They're talking about how they need to wash,
silly.
after.
Yeah,
isn't that kind of like unethical? Like why do men want to do that?
Because that's how they're hardwired. So unless a man has discipline, he naturally falls into that style or those characteristics. That's just how men are hardwired.
Have you slept with someone that you regret?
100%.
Like to what degree? Like
I remember busting a nut and thinking, God, why do I do this? I went church.
Post-nut clarity.
I went church. I busted a nut. I went straight to church. I said, God,
I remember Pal talking about this.
I said,
you wasn't fighting your demons.
Change.
You were
I'm going to change. I said, God,
sleeping with ugly women.
I'm thinking, what the hell am I? I'm out here slaying dragons. What's going on?
But that's the thing with men, though. Like, luckily for women, your standards on the floor. Like,
you have the free will to do that, though.
And
that was by choice.
And this is why I always speak. Me personally, I speak about discipline. I've gone on journeys. Like, I took a year out of 6 to learn sexual discipline for these reasons. Do you get what I'm saying? In my prime, when I was mad young, I was at university. I did it for this sole purpose. I believe it's important, but I still say that's a man's choice because, again, that's your biological imperative. Right now in society, we cater to a woman's biological imperative.
Intelligent guy, man.
If we was to live by our true means, our strategy for survival is scattergun. That's how we have so much sperm. We literally, because we're expendable. We die. We go to war. We take risks. So in order for our lineage to survive, we need to impregnate as many people as possible. So if we was to live by our real biological imperative, we'd be out here spreading our seed, and we get demonized for being natural. Whereas women can cater to your biological imperative, and you know it's all fine.
But I think women do get also demonized if we're talking about
like men.
No. Like I'm not talking about when you was talking about like spreading your seed and that.
I
like
see what you got to say.
Women that have a lot of kids with a lot of different men aren't really seen as very attractive in society, but that's like the natural
Well,
way.
No, it's not.
But it is.
It's not. No. The natural way is for women to reproduce with the highest value guy possible. And in society, we push that. Sis, get that bag.
Yeah,
like,
but
go for it. Shoot your shot. Like that's.
I understand that, but we're talking about like you're talking about spreading your seed, and lots of different men have to do that with lots of different women.
Yeah.
So that means a lot of different women are going to get pregnant a lot, like quite often, and
Well,
women with a lot of children with different men is
But
just not seen.
No,
as,
it's not. It's not by. So they get pregnant by the highest value guy possible. So like throughout history, it would be like one man and a bunch of.
That's what I mean. This is just. But again, she sounds intelligent. She sounds like she knows, she has education. But it's like, you're not seeing the pot. This is what I'm saying. Like, don't just listen to what he's saying. He's not saying that it's our biological way to impregnate loads of. I mean, not loads of women, but yeah, women in general. That is our biological standpoint. It really is. If you go back centuries ago, when we were cavemen, what were our objectives? To breed, to hunt, kill, eat, sleep. That was it. Wake up again. Do the same thing. You know, we were survivors. We were protectors, and then we would also impregnate different women because that was our kind of biological way of increasing the population. We didn't know that we needed to do that. It was just that's just been programmed into us. Until this day, men have always been programmed the same way. So when he's saying we get demonized for it, we get called player, we get called this, we get called that, because we have almost become blind in today's society. Don't get me wrong. I feel like if, as a man, you're doing it in a vigorous, nasty way, sleeping with women because you're a nasty piece of work in the way you do it, I don't believe in that. But if you're sleeping with different women and you're single and you're sleeping with loads of women, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't, because you're going with your biological. That nature calls, man. That's what you've been given sperm for a reason. Right, you haven't been given sperm to hold off and be like, oh, I'm not having sex, I'm not doing it. Like, come on, you've been given the tools, and you know the same goes with the women. She's saying that women get demonized for having loads of kids, but hang on a second, that's not what we said. One high value man, you have children with him, whether it's 2 or 3 children. You don't then start sleeping with bums, then sleeping with this guy and this. That's where you get demonized for it.
To concubines, like how many people are related to Genghis Khan?
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
crazy.
So it's like polygyny. So that when the man has multiple women, because if he's able to look after those women, then he has kids for multiple women, and they all raise their children together.
Yeah, 8,000 years ago, it was 17 women for one man, and only historically 40% of men have reproduced, where 80% of women have. And so, like historically, even men reproducing was a privilege.
Yep.
Yeah. But like when men reproduce, it's a privilege. But like, it's also natural for women to get pregnant. That's not seen as a privilege. Like women, like
it's natural to get pregnant by one guy, not
no,
a bunch.
like, but you can get biologically, like you can get pregnant more than once. You know, like you can still get pregnant, just not at the same time.
Well, you're right. It would be by the same. It would be like tribes. So basically, like
I'm talking like if men were just spreading the seed with anyone, like now, women could also just get pregnant quite often with lots of different men over a period of time.
It would be like in tribes. So basically, like the men would impregnate the men and the women would have kids, right? And then if a better like warrior took over the tribe, they would kill the kids, take the women. And so like men are biologically repulsed by other people's children. Like they're just designed to not want to deal with other people's kids and pass on their resources.
We're gonna stop it there, guys. You know how to get this up, right? You know how to get this shit.
What the dog doing? What the dog doing?
I'm sorry, man. Listen, there's always got to be one. But again, hey, we wouldn't have a show, we wouldn't have podcasts and all these things if there wasn't 1 or 2 people that had different views and opinions in it. And do you know what? It's just learning the history behind our species. And I feel like we tend to override that and we forget that. We forget that historically men did have 10 wives. They had 17 wives. okay, those wives, and listen, if those wives were to cheat, they're dead. Children dead, everything dead. Like kings, they had like 17 wives and all these things. If one of them went out of line, slit your throat. But again, women see that as a bad thing. Of course it is. That was murderous, man. I don't condemn that. But what I'm saying is, why is it bad if a single man in this day and age sleeps around with different women? Why is that seen as bad? It's in our nature to do that. Like I said, I don't like it when men are vigorous and violent and abusive and all those things in it. I don't agree with that. But if a single high value man, intelligent guy sleeps with different women, there's nothing wrong with that. And listen, if you decide to sleep with him, you should have been a better judge of character and said, you know what, I'm not going to sleep with you because I'm looking for a commitment. I'm looking for a man I want to settle down with and have children with. And if you're, by the sounds of it and by the looks of it, you're not looking for that, I can't have sex with you. But they don't. They go along with it. They have sex with them. They stay with him for months on, months end, and then they call the guy a player and call him, oh, what a player he was. He was a nasty piece of work. Well, no, not really. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to tell you what he wants. And at the end of the day, what man have you ever heard say, listen, before we speak, I'm just saying, I only want to have sex with you. You don't really tend to hear men say that because men are respectful, but you can judge a man by what he says, how he's acting towards you, whether he wants to have sex with you, whether he wants a commitment. Because again, if a man wants a relationship, he will grab you by the hand like that. He will say, you're my girl, within the first week. He won't wait for 6 months to then finally say, I think I want to be with you. Like, what? That is unheard. That is so unheard of. I've never heard any kind of story along those lines where a guy has waited 6 months to put a ring on your finger or say that he wants to commit to you. Bang in the first week. When he knows, he knows. If you're with a guy right now and he still hasn't made you his thing and it's been 6 months, you need to get out of there because there's only one thing he wants and you know what it is. So listen, from a man's perspective and a man's point of view, and looking at it historically, men have always been the ones that go around and try and impregnate and produce children because they want to leave a legacy. And it was known, if that man did come in and wanted the woman, he would have to fight the man, and whoever wins, whoever's victorious, wins the woman over, right? That was just how it was looking back then. But now what happens is men will sleep with women, but the women will sleep with different men. They won't sleep with the same man. So even if he leaves her, that's fine. If he leaves her and you find another sexual partner, that's absolutely fine. However, what happens is you find another one, then you find another one, then you have 2-3 children with 3-4 different men. How are men meant to respect you? How are we meant to trust you? I don't want to be looking after other people. Not one man wants to be looking after other people's kids. If he is, he's a bum. I'm sorry. What man wants to look after other people's kids? And they're not even your biological kid. You have to do the framework. You have to be making sure they're financially supported. You need to make sure she's financially supported. You need to make sure the household's being paid. And they're not even your children. There's not one man I know that would want to look after a woman's other kids. It's just not in our nature. In our nature is to breed, have children with one woman, and then build a legacy from there. Not, oh well, I've met a 34-year-old woman, but she has two kids. Two of them are by the same man, and she's got one coming on the way by another man. But I'm gonna be. Are you kidding me? Baggage.